You know him as Gandalf the Grey, the wise old wizard. But what if I told you he isn't really a man at all? That he's something far older, far more powerful, and far more divine. This is the untold truth of Gandalf, Maia of the West. In The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf seems like a classic mentor. Mysterious, powerful, and always just one step ahead. But in Tolkien's world, a wizard is not what you think. Gandalf isn't a human who learned magic. He's a being sent from beyond the mortal world. To truly understand him, we have to go beyond Middle-earth, to the very beginning of time. In the beginning, there was only music, the Ainulindale. From it came the Ainur, godlike spirits created by Eru Iluvatar, the once supreme being. Some of these Ainur became the Vala, the great powers who shaped the world, the sea, the sky, the forests, and the stars. Others were lesser spirits, known as the Maia. They served the Vala and helped carry out their will. Gandalf is one of these Maia. So was Sauron. So were the Balrogs, spirits of fire that were corrupted and turned monstrous. But not all Maia remained in the heavens. In the Third Age, 5 were chosen by the Vala to take on human form and go to Middle-earth. They became the Istari, or wizards. Gandalf, Saruman, Radagast, and the 2 blue wizards. Their mission was not to rule, but to guide, uplift, and inspire the peoples of Middle-earth against the return of Sauron. They were forbidden from dominating or revealing their true power. Only Gandalf truly fulfilled this mission. Long before he became Gandalf, he was known as Olorin, and he dwelled in Valinor, the blessed realm across the sea. He walked unseen among the elves, whispering hope into the hearts of the weary. He didn't command armies or wield great weapons. His power was subtle, his wisdom immense. And when Middle-earth stood on the brink of falling into darkness once again, he was chosen. The Vala sent 5 Maia into Middle-earth in human form. They became the Istari, what we call wizards. They were forbidden from using their power to dominate. Their mission was to inspire, to guide, to rally the people of Middle-earth against the rising shadow. Saruman the White, the most powerful. Radagast the Brown, attuned to nature. The mysterious blue wizards, who vanished into the east. And Olorin, who chose to come last, out of humility. He became Gandalf the Grey. Of the 5 Istari who came to Middle-earth, 2 walked up paths shrouded in mystery. Alatar and Pelandil, the blue wizards, journeyed into the east, and were never seen in the west again. Some say they failed, lost to time and shadow. Others whisper that they sowed quiet resistance in lands under Sauron's growing eye. Whatever their fate, they remind us that even in legend, some stories are only half told. Unlike the others, Gandalf never sought power, only purpose. He walked the roads of Middle-earth not as a king, but as a companion. He shared laughter in the Shire, counsel in Rivendell, and fire in Moria. He was humble, and that humility became his strength. Nowhere did Gandalf's heart rest more gently than in the Shire. Among hobbits, he found not power or prophecy, but joy, wonder, and the quiet courage of ordinary folk. He watched them, protected them, laughed with them. For in their simplicity, he saw the strength that Sauron could never understand. And when the time came, it was not kings or armies Gandalf placed his hope in, it was hobbits. But Gandalf never forgot his purpose. He didn't build towers, he built trust. At the same time, Radagast lost himself in the ways of beasts and birds. But not all wizards stayed true to their purpose. Saruman the White, once the leader of the Istari, was wise beyond measure. But wisdom can turn to pride, and pride to ruin. He looked not to Middle-earth's people, but to power, to order. And in doing so, he became the very thing he was sent to resist. Where Gandalf walked among the small and humble, Saruman retreated into towers. While Gandalf sought to inspire, Saruman sought to dominate. The White Wizard fell, not to flame or battle, but to the silent corruption of ego. And in his fall, we see why Gandalf stood apart. When he fell in battle against the Balrog, another Maia corrupted by Morgoth, he gave his mortal form to save the Fellowship. But Gandalf's mission was not over. Eru Iluvatar, the Creator himself, brought him back. Not as Gandalf the Grey, but as Gandalf the White, the new leader of the Istari. A clear sign that this humble servant had fulfilled his role beyond expectation. Why couldn't anyone else defeat the Balrog? Because no one else could. The Balrog was a Maia, just like Gandalf. A being of fire, shadow, and ancient divine power. No elf, no dwarf, no mortal man could have survived such a battle. It took a being of equal origin and strength. Their duel lasted 10 days, raging from the depths of Moria to the heights of Xaraxagil. Gandalf didn't just win a fight, he sacrificed everything. His mortal form died. But because he remained true to his mission, Eru Iluvatar brought him back. Only Gandalf, in wisdom, power, and humility, could have faced the shadow and prevailed. To be a Maia is to be powerful, but not invincible. It is to have free will, and with that, the risk of corruption. Sauron sought control. The Balrogs fell into rage and ruin. Gandalf chose compassion, patience, and humility. That's why he succeeded, and why Middle-earth was saved. Few in Middle-earth knew that Gandalf carried one of the 3 elven rings of power. Narya, the Ring of Fire, was entrusted to him by Círdan the Shipwright. When Gandalf first set foot in Middle-earth, he was not cloaked in glory, but in grey. Yet one saw through the veil. Círdan the Shipwright, keeper of the Grey Havens and bearer of Narya, recognized the fire within this quiet Maia. And so, he passed the Ring of Fire to Gandalf, not to wield in battle, but to inspire hearts, to resist despair, to carry warmth into a world growing cold. It was a silent gift. A trust passed from an immortal to another. And with that ring, Gandalf's light would never go out. This ring didn't grant dominion or destruction, but something far more valuable in a time of war: the power to inspire. Narya kindled courage, strengthened hearts, and helped Gandalf push back the despair that Sauron's shadow cast over the world. It was the hidden flame that burned within him, not to conquer, but to uplift. Here are a few things you may not know about Gandalf that make him even more fascinating. Tolkien based Gandalf partly on Odin, the wandering Norse god with a wide-brimmed hat and staff. His original name, Alarin, means dreamer or visionary, and he once walked in dreams to bring comfort. He was loved by the elves of Valinor even before his arrival in Middle-earth. Despite being chosen for the mission, Gandalf was reluctant to go. But it was his humility that made him the most faithful of the Istari. Gandalf is one of the few beings in Tolkien's world to defeat a Balrog, a being of equal divine rank. His name Gandalf comes from Norse myth and means wand elf. And finally, after completing his mission, he sailed back to the Undying Lands, his divine purpose fulfilled. In the end, Gandalf's true strength wasn't fire or lightning. It was wisdom. It was the power to guide without forcing, the courage to face evil without becoming it, and the faith that even the smallest person can change the course of the future. Gandalf was not just a wizard. He was a Maia, an immortal spirit sent from beyond the world, to remind us that hope, no matter how small, is never wasted. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Tolkien's lore, hit like button and join us for more untold stories of Middle-earth. Leave a comment about whom you would like to hear next story. And remember,
all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And if your time permits, do not tarry, strike the red subscribe rune below, and let your journey through lore continue. Subscribe, for I shall return with tales yet untold.